reach your goals, and always have that in mind. Never give it up, because nobody can give up what you have in your heart and what you dream of and what your goals and aspirations. And as I tell people, it's your life, it's your parade. Don't ever let anybody rain on your parade. And so as I close the first half of my life, I then think about what former President Nelson Mandela of South Africa said, is that don't judge me by my successes, but judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. That's what life is. So now my second half of my life, I become a social entrepreneur. I was working as a district director for Small Business Administration. And at the time, I was looking around and said, what would I like to do besides staying behind a desk in the four walls going crazy? And I literally was. And I think the good Lord said, well, take a look at the dropout problem, or high school students. And as I did the research, I realized, you know what? I was one of those high school students years ago. I had walked 2 blocks to our school with a parent-teacher meeting, my dad and I. And the teacher told my dad, with me right next to me, of course, with my homework, as all of us have probably experienced similar experiences years ago, is that Tony isn't college material. Tony is going to be a blue-collar worker, probably working at Ford Motor Company on the line somewhere. Well, you can imagine the 2 blocks when we were walking to the school, my dad and I were very talkative. On the way back, there was nothing but silence. His heart was broken. That memory stayed with me to this day. And I consequently went and got my bachelor's degree from the University of Detroit and my master's degree from the University of Michigan. But I think about this and I say, how many other people are not necessarily like me? How many people believe what our teachers and our counselors are saying, that we take to heart, and we believe them because, of course, they're the authority figure. And so we say, well, if they say it, must be true, right? And so we leave saying, okay, that we got to do something else. Well, that wasn't good enough for me. And so what I did was think about, how can I help a high school student who's perhaps dropping out and becoming a liability to society? After all, you have unwed mothers, you have students or young men and women getting into gangs, you have the incarceration, you've got all these problems that are going on in society, but what are we doing about them? We just acknowledge them, but what are we really doing about it? So I said, okay, let me draw my attention now to create a project or a business that can help do something about this. And as I did that, I also coincidentally looked at the Rotary 4-way test. I said, is it the truth? And yeah, it is. It's the truth. It's happening out there every day, even though we may turn our heads away or we may not be that close to it. It is the truth. Is it fair to all concerned? Of course it is. The project I'm going to tell you about meets all four criteria and then some. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Absolutely it will. And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Yes, it will. Now, before I tell you that, and actually in the handouts that I have, you'll see a menu of 6 keys that I put on there. But before doing that, I just briefly want to tell you a little story that happened to me in between the close of my first half of my life and the second half. I was driving down from San Antonio to Corpus doing a consultant project and doing 65, 70 miles an hour. Before you know it, my gauges in the car, it was a friend's car that I was using at the time because my air conditioner was out. And so there was a pickup truck that came up next to me. And he says, pull over, pull over. And I said, okay, because my gauges were going a little crazy, so I pulled over. And then I walked out and he says, come here, come here. And the car was pretty much where that TV set is over here. And he says, I saw flames underneath your car. I said, oh my God. And I turned around and I looked and I had to get my briefcase. So I run back there and get my briefcase, come back, and before you know it, the bumper melts off. And then before you know it, smoke starts to go from the hood. And before you know it, I said, oh my God, I forgot my cachet of other awards and pictures and things. And I start running, and before you know it, something stopped me. I just could not move it. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move anymore. And 9.9 times out of 10, I run and get it because I'm just competitive. And I just would get it. I stopped. No more than 2 seconds happened. The car blew up. And a ball of fire. Not one bit of smoke got on me. The car totaled. 2 fire trucks, 2 TPS people there. I called up the gal that I was working with and I said, Lynn, you're not going to believe what's going to happen. And I told her the situation. She said, Tony, you're not going to believe this. And right now I'm getting chills explaining this to you again. She said, every morning I'm in a prayer group and we pray for friends and family to be safe. And this morning we prayed that everybody be on the highway and streets be guarded by angels. I said, go ahead. You're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you right now. And I told her, and I said, something stopped me. I don't know what it was. But I got to believe from that point on, the good Lord had other ideas for me. My time wasn't up yet. And so with that in mind, I began to think about what other business could I create. And I created a company called now 29 Seconds. And 29 Seconds is because in the United States, unfortunately, every 29 seconds there's a student in America that drops out of high school. Every 29 seconds. Well, I created the project now where we will put an academic kiosk, which is like your ATM machines, with the information that you have on your tables there, providing admissions information, financial aid, STEM information, examinations, incentives, and employment opportunities. And all the students have to do is click it. And they click it, and they don't have to understand or know www. They basically get the information, and it's free to the students, free to the schools, and they can also access it from their desktop, laptop, tablet, and smartphone. So they don't have to go to the counselor anymore, like I did. They don't have to get rejected or delayed. They can get this information as soon as they can, because when I was actually in Houston, and Houston ISD had a program that if a student got a 3.8, 3.9, 4.0 all the way through from 9th grade to 12th, they get a free ticket. They didn't have to be a minority. They didn't have to be low income. They just had to be a high achiever. Free ticket to Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth, MIT. Isn't that awesome? And I said, we're going to do that. We're going to put that button on there to give the encouragement to students to stay in school and make something of themselves, because one day I said, this isn't about Tony, it's about one of these students are going to continue their education, and in doing so, they're going to go on to become, hopefully, a doctor, an MD doctor, and that doctor is going to become part of a research team that one day will take care of diabetes, or cancer, or multiple sclerosis, and that's the bottom line of why Tony Alvarez has done the 29 seconds. And so in closing, I just want you to know that yes, rags to riches happened to me, and I think that was the first half of my life. But the second half now is to leave a legacy where I can improve life and improve our society and our world by giving others the opportunity that I had. I become the bridge that people can walk over, that the students can walk over. And I use the football in this sense. Most of you, I'll say most of you, are familiar with football in the game, except my lovely wife, Maribel, who I had to explain to her about football, but she's more into pageants and other things like that. I had to say, a quarterback, when he's out on the field, throws a pass in order to move the ball forward to score a touchdown ultimately. And sometimes that quarterback hands off. And sometimes the quarterback holds the ball a little bit too long. He holds it maybe 4, 5, 6 seconds. Stand up for a second. Jonathan, I'm the quarterback. Look at this guy. I'm going to run for my life. Are you kidding me? Jonathan's going to throw me in the ground and step on me, and they're not going to find me. Are you kidding me? So I hold on to the ball, and Jonathan throws me down. Sit down, Jonathan. Thanks. Let me come eye level with you now. And so then, as a quarterback gets thrown down, he doesn't go to the coach and say, hey, coach, Jonathan threw me down on the ground. Or he doesn't go to the referee and say, hey, ref, my elbow hurts. I want to penalize 5 or 10 yards. What does he do? He picks himself up, dusts himself off, calls another play, calls the guy in a huddle, and let's go for another touchdown. And that's life. Whether you're a single mom, whether you're a family member, whether you're the owner of your business, you're going to get thrown down. It's inevitable. We don't always fly sky high. You're going to be down. But the goal is to come back up again and to be persistent, determined, focused, and be able to live your dreams and live the dreams for your family, for your business, and achieve things that you never believed you could achieve. If you only stay focused and believe in yourself, believe in God, and believe doing the right thing. Thank you. You're so kind. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, sir.